Okay, let's get our arms stretching. So this is going to be very similar to how we set up our legs. Let's go ahead and select our arm controls. We're going to want to make sure that the names that we give our objects, they're going to be a lot similar to what we use for the legs, save of course arm and wrist for when we set up our locators. That's going to be different from thigh and ankle. But other than that, we want to keep everything a lot very similar, so when we copy and paste our expression, it's as simple as switching a few things around so everything will function properly. But with our arms selected, so we can apply our mode switch, we'll go to Modify, Add Attribute. We'll call our category Stretchy Arm this time. We'll make it displayable, and we'll hit Add. Now, as far as the next attribute that we'll want to be tied with our expression, that's going to be mode. We'll make it a Boolean, and we'll hit Add. Alright, great, so there it is. We'll go to our distance tool now and work on adding our locators. So we'll hold V, vert snap. Of course, we'll just start with the left arm, work on these locators, and then we could apply them to the right arm as well, moving back and forth between them till they're all set up. We'll select our locators, switch their size, 0.28. It also works, that's good. Okay, we can give our locators names. We will call you this underscore, or this actually loc underscore L underscore arm for the first that we've made. And the second, we can even copy this name for the arm, paste it, and switch arm to wrist. Okay, for our distance dimension, we can call that dist underscore L underscore arm. Okay, so now that these things have been done, of course we need to parent or point constrain rather our IKs, our locators to where they need to go. So for the first, we can bring that right to our bone arm. And if you have problems selecting that, you could always do that from the outliner. So that can either go to the arm bone or even to our shoulder end bone. But let's go ahead and just bring that to the arm bone so your rig will match mine. With the arm selected, we'll shift select our locator and do a point constraint. Then we could go to the wrist, and for this we're going to want to select our control followed by the locator and do another point constraint. Now we're ready to take these two locators, go to our hidden transforms and put them in their place where they need to go. Okay, and then of course we can test this out and they're going to move just the way we need them to. Great. How about we set up that right side? Going back to our distance tool, we should just be able to hit Y since we just came out the tool. Hold V, vert snap our first locator, go to the wrist, vert snap the second one there, hit enter, select both locators, shrink their size 0.28, give them names, call the first one, we should just be able to paste, okay, and call this, or switch the L to an R for the arm, for the first one, and then paste again, switch the L to an R and the arm to wrist. Okay, for the distance dimension, we'll go ahead and label that dist R and then arm 0.1. Okay, so now that we have that, we'll work on our constraints. Select the arm, followed by the first locator associated with it. Point constraint. Select our control next by the wrist, followed by the next locator associated with it, and just hit G to repeat the last tool. We can test it out. It's moving just fine. And now we can take both locators and put them right under our hidden transforms. Great. So now that we have that, that's good to go. We're ready to start working now on our multiply divide nodes. So let's go ahead and do that. We can go to our hybrid shade. There it is. We'll go to our node generator window, handy dandy node generator window, and we'll make two multiply divide nodes. There's one, we can just move that over slightly, and make the other so that they all don't fall on top of each other. And then close out our window afterwards. Okay, let's give them names. This first one, we can label that for the right arm. So that's div underscore r underscore arm 01. Copy the name. Go to the next one, paste, and switch that R to an L. Great. Now that that's done, of course, we need to make sure, we do want to make sure that we switch our multiply to divide. And what else do we want to do? Well, we want to make sure that our input 1, Y, and Z are set to 1, so we don't run into any errors. Great. Making sure also that that's set to divide, so we'll double check those. Great. What's next? Well, now we need to get the measurement from our arm. So our character here is symmetrical, so they should, whatever value that we have chosen for our first, should be the same value we choose for the other arm as well. So again, because of the character being symmetrical, if you have an asymmetrical character, then you'll need to go ahead and do the process of checking the measurement for both sides. But we can just move the arm till it locks up. Not much at all. Okay, it's locked up about there. We'll select the multiply divide, and we can round that off to about 50. Okay, so that's the value we want to use. We want to make sure that we do stretch the arm first and then get the value. Otherwise, our arm will stretch even with the bend in the elbow, which it shouldn't work like that. Okay, so now that we have a value of 50 that we know we're going to want to use, our next task is to go to our expression editor. Let's minimize our hypershade, go to our expression editor, and we want to go to our stretchy limb. Alright, let's go ahead and expand this. And let's see what we have to work with here. So we have the mode and everything else. Let's say we go now to our next section and give it a category of arm. Okay, so we'll put a comment and we'll say arms. Now from here, all we need to do is go ahead and copy this line all the way to our next expression, or prior to it, just copy it, and we go down to past arms, hit enter a few times and paste, and switch what we need to. So we did call this, this is going to be for our right arm. We could start with that. So instead of JC, we're going to want to switch it to CC. Instead of foot, we want to switch that to arm. And we still stuck with mode. Okay. Actually, you know what? Before we even get to doing that, let's go ahead and set up our div scale limb expression. Let's go there and just make sure that our multiply divide nodes will be set to what they need to be. So that's going to be 50 rather than 90. So we'll quickly do that and then get right back to setting up the remainder of our expression. So we'll go to our right and left, just copy those, paste them underneath our comment, call this comment arms, and just switch leg to arm for both. Okay, now that that's done, we do need to switch the 90 to a 50 because the legs are longer. And with all of these things done, we should just be able to hit edit and everything will work fine. We could even minimize this expression editor, go to our hypershade and just check everything. Great, so that's set to 50, that's set to 50, and of course we need to copy and paste the values, okay, from input 1 to input 2, so that will move properly. Now with all of this done, we can close out our hypershade, go back to our expression, then go to our stretchy limb and do what we've done before, in that we've gone ahead and first made a comment. We're going to need to redo that since we haven't edited this expression, so that's going to be for the arms, and we'll already prepare by going a couple of lines underneath. We'll copy the one for the right arm and just apply it to it. So we'll just copy the line, copy, and paste. Okay, now we need to go through and switch certain things. So that's going to be, instead of JC, that's CC. Instead of foot, that's arm. Okay, and mode was the same. So we go through, and rather than our leg shape, that's going to be arm shape. Going through, rather than leg again, that's going to be arm. And then rather than thigh, we're going to want to again use arm. So that's set. Again, let's switch the leg to arm. Again, switch that leg to arm. And then for the next bone down, that's going to be elbow. So we want to make sure we add that. We don't need to add our elbow preserve. That's going to follow just as we need it to. So we'll make sure that we switch our expression. So again, here, our dist arm or our dist leg, that's going to also need to be switched to arm. Okay, and our leg here for the input, that's going to need to be switched to arm too. For our next bone, we're actually going to apply our forearm twist. So that was just called twist. Simple as that. Switch leg to arm. Switch leg to arm. Okay, and we want to go through this slowly to make sure everything is going to be switched properly. So again, we need to switch our thigh to arm. Switch the knee to elbow. Careful not to get rid of the 0, 1. And switch this knee B to twist. Great, and we're just about done here. We just need to go ahead and switch the JC to CC, the foot to arm, the thigh, we want to switch that to arm, the knee gets switched to elbow, and the knee B to twist. Okay, so that should be everything for the right arm. Gone ahead and double checked, and let's see what happens now if we just hit edit to edit the expression. Okay, it works. We minimize our expression editor. Since we worked on the right arm, let's see, our mode now is set to off, so we shouldn't get any stretch. And if we now turn mode to 1, turn it on, there is our stretch. Wonderful. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and apply everything to the left arm. Going back to our expression editor, it's as simple as taking what we have here and copying it. Okay, everything for the arm. Go a few lines down, paste, and switch the R to L. That's all we need to do here. So switch all of the R's that determine what side these objects rest to L's. So we want to carefully do that. And once that has been done, which we're just about finished with, let's see, there we are, and we'll switch the R here as well as for the arm. So we should just be able to hit edit, and everything's working. We'll close out our expression editor and test it out. So right now our mode is set to off, no stretch. We turn it on, and we get our stretch. Wonderful. So we have a couple more things to do before we finish this off and move on to our next task for the arms. It's pretty much going to be our last task, the follow. But of course we need to make sure that our distance dimensions are going under our extras. So that's hidden as well. And now that these things are finished, we are pretty much done with our stretch. So there goes the setup of our arm stretch. Again, similar to what we did for the legs. And with that, that completes this lesson. In the next lesson, we'll work on setting up our follow switch.